Okay, so in this tutorial, we're going to go over some of the things that we can do for the outcome screen, okay? So before we dive in here, a couple things I just want to highlight. For this, we're going to be using the Jquery UI, okay? So Jquery UI is like a curated set of user interactions, effects, widgets, and themes, and it's all built off of JavaScript and Jquery, but it makes using sort of like interactive components really, really easy and really fun. So we're going to be messing with the draggable and droppable options today. And then I'll also be doing another tutorial about the accordion, and then also probably about resizable and an input. Okay, but for this one, we're just going to be doing draggable and droppable. So the first thing that we're going to need is we're going to need to put in the library, the link to this library in our page. So I have a link here in this example project. This is actually the CDN for jQuery UI itself. This is the um, this is the library for working with jQuery, which you've put in your other project. So you could just copy and paste this one here. It's pretty easy to find it online. You can just search for, what is this browser? You can just search for like jQuery UI CDN. And I was able to find it on this second link, code.jquery. And if you scroll down, if you just click on jQuery, go to uncompressed. Here's the link here's where I got this link, just so y'all know how to access that. Okay, so I've put that in my HTML. So now I have both my libraries linked, and this is really important. It's really important that the UI goes underneath jQuery itself. All right, and then a couple things I've done previously, and again, you'll have this example file, is I've just made so on my screen 3, which is my outcome screen, I've just made two divs, one called net, one called ball. Okay, and so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just make a really simple draggable, droppable thing that allows me to take this div, which has an image of a soccer ball inside of it, and drag it into, for right now, what's gonna just be a rectangle. Eventually I'll put maybe an image of a net there, or I'll make one with CSS. So when you drag the soccer ball into the net, something cool will happen. So I'm probably going to trigger like some kind of, I don't know, confetti or golazo animation. Okay, so one thing that I do want to go over, one last thing I want to go over is just how you can use Glitch to upload assets. So in here where it says assets, I've uploaded a couple things. I actually uploaded this one in a failed version of this video I made for y'all. So here's my soccer ball. And so all you have to do is just hit upload an asset. You just find the image that you want to upload. So I'm just going to upload something that's small. Okay, this is pretty small. So I'm just going to upload this. Say I want to put this in my project. You just wait for it to upload. Then you click on it. And here's the link to it. Okay, so this is where it lives on the internet. It's very similar to like when you link your images locally. You do, an image folder and then what the name of it. That's literally like a URL almost. This just lives on the internet and it's hosted by Glitch. So all you would have to do if you wanted to use this image instead of the soccer ball, you would just go on over to, you would use your image tag, the src, and then you just put in between quotes, you just put this whole URL. So I'm just going to go Command Z back just to put the correct one in there. Okay, so I have those two things, and I've started the CSS a little bit. So I have the soccer ball linked in, and then in my CSS, I've just I've targeted the container and then also the image. It turned out to be a little smaller than I thought it would be, so I'm going to make it like 20. Yeah. And then I'll just make these match up. Okay, and the reason I do that is so that the image and the actual background that holds it, like the div around it or the div it's inside of, are kind of exactly the same. So when I interact with it, I'm not like kind of grabbing any weird outside space of the ball or anything like that. Okay, so here's my soccer ball. We're cute. And then I'm just going to put, like I said, a rectangle up here. Just really easy. So I'm going to target net. And what we'll do eventually is we're focusing right now on, I don't know, I need to copy and paste net. we're just focusing on like the baseline functionality so that we know everything's like working and operating the way that we need to. We're just breaking things down into small digestible pieces. And this is kind of the hard parts, and it's new, so we'll get it out of the way. And then the stuff that y'all are pros on already, which is the CSS, that we're going to use like a secondary. So we're going to make ourselves like a nice template, and then we'll go in once everything's kind of working, and we'll make it like look really great. So that'll be sort of our subsequent videos for next week. Okay, so net, I'm just going to give it a width. Let's say 40 VW, and then a height. Actually, let's make this bigger. Let's do like 70, and then a height of, let's say 50. Nice goal-sized rectangle. And then let's just give it a background color. And we can say, I don't know, I'll just say green for now. Green. Boom. And let's just give all this good stuff margin 0 auto, you go in the center, and a margin of 0 auto as well to start off with. And let's do like 10 VW, just so we can kind of space things out a little bit more. Okay, so we have a soccer ball, we have our goal. I'm gonna put a little bit more margin on here just so I have a little more space. So let's do, yeah, let's do like 30 VW, just so I have to kind of drag it a little ways. Okay, we're cute, great job. All right, so now what we're gonna do is, now that we have things sort of positioned where we want them, we're gonna create the JS to drag this into this space, right? This, what is it, 70 by 50 space. And then when we do that, we'll be able to kind of trigger something else happening. And it'll be great fun for everyone. All right, so let's take a look. We're going to be over on the Jquery Ui. Let's take a look at draggable. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make that soccer ball draggable. So a really simple example here. I really love this page. It makes things super easy. Check it out. You can just create some code to make things draggable. And then we're also going to change the cursor on hover to a little hand friend. Okay, so let's take a look at the source. So when you look at this page, your JavaScript is going to be inside this script tag. You can really easily put JavaScript in the HTML. We're just putting in another file. So when you look at this, if this looks insane, just anything that's inside of the script tag, know that you're going to put that in your JavaScript file, okay? These script taggies are, check it out, that's what ours looks like. Those are the CDN for jQuery and the UI. This is what we're looking for as our example. So as you can see, it's like literally, it's kind of like hide, right? It's just dot draggable, okay? So what we need to do is, I'm going to see if we can run this without putting it in a function. We may have to do that, and there's a couple different ways that we can do that. But let's just try the sort of most basic version of this now. So what we're going to do is we're going to target the thing we want to be draggable, and then we're going to say, yo, you're draggable. That sounds like draggable sounds, I don't know, it sounds like something in like queer culture, maybe. Okay, draggable. All right, so meow, meow, meow. We want to work the ball. So let's head over to our JS, and let's put this underneath our these functions, and let's just leave ourselves some comments, and we'll just say draggy. All right, and let's go ahead and we're going to do our JavaScript object first. So inside of quotes we're going to say ball. That's the thing we're messing with, and again, a reminder that $sign just literally equals jQuery. Okay, and we're going to say dot draggable. Draggable. And I'm going to double check that that's spelled right, because y'all know what it's like. We need our parameter set, and then semicolon. Okay, so let's see if we can get that to validate. So we should be able to drag this. Okay, let's head over here and see if we have any errors. Okay, no errors. All right, so let's take a look at our page. Now, I'm just looking at it on, I'm not looking at it in responsive mode right now. And that's important, and I'll explain why. So get it out of responsive mode, and when we scroll down, you'll be able to drag this around, which is very cute, right? How's that feel? Feels really nice, right? Okay, so the one thing that we need to do in order to get this to work on mobile, all right, so when we look at it on mobile, even when we look at it on like small screen, because it's registering as a device, it doesn't want us to move it, okay? So we need to, I'm trying to get this back here. Okay, what we need to do is we need to just add in one additional library. Okay, so I'm gonna just kind of demo to y'all how I just troubleshot an error, not an error, but an issue that I ran into. So what I was able to do, and this JavaScript is all correct. This is absolutely correct. I've added this console log in here. This is just a way that you could send console.log with a string in quotes here. It's like a little message. Is how you can send messages to the console. So just check that whatever you're doing is working. Okay, so what I have going on here is I just want to demo the issue that I'm having. Okay, so when I click over here, oops, let me refresh. Okay, when I'm dropping this, it's not changing color, even though my JavaScript is right. So the way that I've coded this should change yellow, all right, because I'm adding a class, and the class I'm adding has yellow. And I've added that console log so that when I go here and I go to the console, check it out, my little message comes. So that's how I know, like, okay, this is validating, this is actually working, and it's pretty cool. So here, I'll demo that to y'all. I'm gonna leave the console open. Let me move this so y'all can see. Okay, so if you watch over here, when I grab my soccer ball and drag it onto this space, check it out, my little message comes through. So that's how I know it's working. And again, that's just this little part here in the JS, the console.log, and then you put what's called a string in there. So it's inside of quotes, and it just means it's gonna actually come as a word. All right, so I'm just sending a test in there. So if that comes in, I know it's working. So here's the issue, all right? It's just in the way that I've styled it. I've given it a background color with an ID, and then I'm trying to change it with a class, okay? So a class can override a class, but a class can't override an ID. So here's the sort of sneaky thing I'm gonna have to do to get this to work the way I want it to work, okay? All right, I want this to change a different color when I drop it in here. And that's not like the only thing I wanna do, but I do wanna demo just like some of the errors that you might run into, okay? So in the HTML, for the net, I'm also gonna give it a class, and I'm gonna give it the class of green, all right? So it's a pretty simple solution. I'm literally just gonna take green out of net, that ID, and say green, G-R-E-E-N, and I will say background color green. So now when I add my class, this color green is what is styling it green now, that class, right? I no longer have it in the ID, it's just in the class. So a class can override a class. So now when I drop the soccer ball into the net, it should change yellow. Yeah, see, because a class can override a class. Again, if you're giving something a class and an ID, it'll just have both. So when you do that add class, whatever you want to change shouldn't be from the ID of the thing, it should be a class, okay? And the reason that you use IDs and classes, for instance, you could very well change this to a class, right? You could very well change net to a class, and it would totally be fine. You would just have to make sure that when you're using net, it would be .net, right? If you did want to change that. So that would be the other solution. Literally just change net to a class. So here, I can demo that for y'all. Let's leave that for the time being, .net. And then instead of using green, we can just put this back in there, change this to class, head over here, we could change this to class, and then just get rid of this. You can only have one class on each element. So this is just another version of the solution. Because again, a class will override a class. It won't override an ID. Okay, so just keep that in mind if things get a little glitchy. All right, so I have the one CSS animation working. Okay, and now what I want to do is I want to trigger like a cooler animation when I drop this in here. So I'll change the color, but then I also might want to do, I don't know, maybe I want to do some like cute like goal text, okay? So if you want to do something like that where like you're triggering an animation, the first thing that you should do is you should just build the animation like it's not on any trigger. All right, so we're literally just going to build it into the HTML. So I'm going to again make sure it's in screen 3. And I'm just going to call it the goal animation, just so I can keep things organized. Okay, and I'm going to do a div. Cool. All right, and I will call this is going to be a class, because I'm going to have it do add class. Okay, so class, and I'm going to call it goal. And I'm going to have it say goal azo. Maybe a couple O's. Cute. Okay, so I'm literally just gonna like leave this as is, and I'm just gonna style it on the page like it's just part of the page to begin with, okay? So here we go. I actually might just want to rearrange it, so I might want it to just be, because I want it to be above the net, right, when it shows up. I'm just gonna rearrange it a little bit. Okay, and then again, I'm just kind of saving this for later, so you can ignore that. All right, and then I will just target this with the CSS. Okay, so I will head over to CSS, and I'll just say goal, and I'll just give it a font size. Let's say 50 VW, and color, let's say red. Again, we'll make this like way cuter later. Okay, that's probably a little too big. And let's just do, is it font, right? Font, sans serif. And let's do like, I don't know, 20 VW. Whoops. Let me look up font. Is it font family? I think it's font family. Cool. Okay. Let's make it a little bit smaller. And maybe let's just give it like, let's just give it 1.0 for now. Okay, so okay, so a couple of things that we can do. All I want to do is I just want to I really just want to add this when I drop this in here, okay? And then I also want to like trigger an animation on this, all right? So the first thing that we're going to do, just to get this to like sort of hide and show, really, really easy. So this is called goal, this little thing, right? It's called goal, okay? All we want to do is go to the JS. We're going to add it into some of the stuff that we're hiding. Okay, so we can actually just add it in here. We'll add it at the end. comma, and we'll say goal, right? So that should be hidden. All right, so now it hides. So what we want to do is if we want to show it, we just need to put it inside of this function. So see in between here, how you're seeing like where the function begins and the function ends? You will just want to make sure that you put it in here, okay? So we're going to target goal. So here, let's just grab one of these. Let's grab this one, the show. All right, and you can put it on top of your console log. Again, this is just like your little message to the console. And just make sure that it goes inside this function friend, okay? So here's your little function hug. Make sure it goes inside of here. And so we're gonna say dot goal show, all right, at its most basic. Dope, okay? Or we can also try like a fade in. And we can say like 1,000 for some, y'all know I like effects. Cute. And then we'll obviously resolve like the positioning and the margin and stuff like that. But let's add one more thing, okay? So what I'm gonna do is we can add in like more functionality and different things, right? So we can actually add in, let's add in one other add class, okay? So maybe we want to actually start animating the background color of this thing when we drop in the soccer ball. So let's work on that. So I'm just going to target the actual div that's the whole container. So that's going to be screen 3. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to author an animation right underneath it. So I'm just going to say, here, let's start with this one because I like to be lazy. At keyframes, let's say BG animation. And let's just go from our cute pink color to, let's do like 25%, 50%. So we'll do background color pink to start with. Background color blue. Then maybe let's do background color purple. And background color, I don't know, red. Cute. Okay. So we just have a really simple animation that we've authored. And now I'm just going to make either an ID or class. This ID or class is actually not going to be in the HTML. I'm just going to put it in the CSS. So let's just say, I'm going to call it BG Annie, like the keyframe here, holder. Because literally all this is going to do is just hold our animation. So then we'll just say, we'll just grab this one here for brevity, animation. And let's just say, let's say it'll last 5 seconds and our animation is called BG Annie. Okay, so literally this thing just holds, it just holds an animation. And you do want to make sure that you make it a class, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. Okay, so now let's head on over to the JS. So just to reiterate, we've authored an animation and we've just made a class that only exists right now in the CSS. It's not actually connected to anything in the HTML. So what we'll do is we'll go to JavaScript, and inside of here, okay, so I'm just going to make some space for myself so I kind of know what's inside of what. I would encourage y'all to do something similar. Okay, what we want to do is we want to say to screen 3. So here, let's grab this, something with screen 3 on it. We'll just grab this so we can be lazy. Screen 3, we're going to do that add class again. So we're going to do add class, because it adds a class. And the class that I'm going to add is going to be the thing that I just defined as my animation. So that was in CSS. So I'm going to say, this is the name of the class here, which holds my animation. So I will go to JS and I will put that in, and just make sure that it's in quotes and no punctuation because it's assuming it's going to be a class. So let's run that. Cute. We're so cute. Oh my God. Okay, so hopefully y'all can apply that to whatever you want. So, the main takeaway here is that you can drag something into something and then you can activate things hiding and showing, also animations. If we wanted to, we could also add like another animation on the soccer ball if we wanted to. So, you know what? Let's try that really quick just to show y'all a little bit more. Let's do the same thing that we're going to do. So we'll just do a dummy class, and let's just call this rotate. And then we'll just do an animation underneath it. And we can call this rotate ball. And let's just do like 0 to 100. And we can say transform, rotate. And I'll say 0 here, DEG. And then in here, I will say rotate 360. All right, and then again, I'll just call my animation on here. And I'm just reusing this same little animation, little script, just so I can be lazy. And so I'll call this one up here. Okay, so I need this, the thing that's actually called the class itself, because this is the animation and this is the class that allows the animation to exist. All right, so again, rotate is not in the HTML at all. I'm going to link it through my JS. So what I'm going to say is I'm going to target the soccer ball. So the ball, let's grab this. I'll target the soccer ball, and instead of draggable, I'm going to do this add class again. Okay, so add class, and again, just it's inside of quotes. Oh, that's not what I wanted. What did I call it? Rotate, right? Rotate, yes. Okay, so again, it assumes that it's going to be a class. So now I'm going to have even more crazy stuff happening. Oh my God, that's so cute. Okay, bye. Okay, so we need to, in order to get these things to work on, so the draggable, droppable to work on mobile, we need to add in one more library. Okay, so we have 3 libraries now. This is so important because your code will not work unless you have these 3 libraries. I know it seems complicated, but it actually is pretty easy. So the Jquery library, the Jquery Ui library, and then this what's called touch punch CDN. So literally all this does is it makes your stuff draggable, droppable. It makes your ability to use the Jquery Ui on a device, okay? So to get this CDN, the Content Delivery Network, literally a library that just is hosted by somebody else, some nice person online. I just literally Googled Touch Punch, because that's the library. It's called Touch Punch. Jquery Touch Punch CDN. I just Googled that, and I just grabbed this first result. And here you go. So this is what I copied. This will be in your example project, so you can just go ahead and in this example project, you can just take these 3 things here, okay? When you're building your version. All right, so now that I have this Touch Punch library, when I go back to my UI, so I'm an iPhone, right? It's being recognized as a mobile device. I can now drag soccer ball friends around. Okay, and because I know I said earlier we were going to use our cursor on hover, I might leave that. I'm going to write myself a note to like leave that to another video because I keep forgetting most of y'all are doing things on mobile and not desktop. But if that's something you're really interested in, just ask me one of your individual meetings and we can kind of mess with it sooner than later. Okay, so now we have the ability to drag soccer ball friend around. All right, so what we'll do now is we're going to make this area into the droppable area. So I'm going to grab my Jquery Ui again, just my library here. So Jquery Ui. And all these things will be linked for y'all. And I'm going to go to droppable. Okay, so we have a draggable element, and then this element is the droppable element, which does something upon drop. So let's take a look at our source. All right, and so again, we're looking at the script tag here, okay? And our JavaScript is going to be even easier to look at because what we are able to do is we don't have to do this function part because we're actually doing it in our own script file. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just grab, let's see, I'm going to grab this whole thing. I'm going to grab the entire thing, okay? And I'll head over here to my JS. And okay, so here is the code that just makes it literally draggable. That's it. That's my draggy friend. And the reason I'm copying and pasting this whole thing over is so that I can select these brackets so that I just know what to get rid of. Okay? And so what I want to do is, I already have the draggable. I don't have to worry about that. But I'm going to use this piece here as my template. Okay? So what I'll do is I'm going to say the thing that I want to be droppable. Okay? So the thing I want to be droppable is the net, right? So I'm going to change that to #net. All right? And then I am going to say, so this is pretty important, what's happening here. So this is calling our function. Anytime there's a function, it's a thing that happens, okay? A thing that happens, right? Okay, and so what this keyword this is saying, and just, you don't have to worry so much about this, just use this as your template and make sure that you don't change the syntax, but I'll show you what you can change, okay? The keyword this, oh my god, I spelled that wrong. Keyword this literally refers to your jQuery element. So this keyword literally means this thing, okay? So everything that we're doing here just deals with this droppable element. All right? So what I'm going to do is we are just going to use this to create some interesting stuff to happen. So I'm going to get rid of these for the time being. All right, I'm going to get rid of those for the time being, and then I'm going to close this out with a semicolon so that I know I'm done. Semicolon just means you're kind of done with that line in jQuery. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I am going to use this add class. All right, and add class just literally means like add a class. So what I'm going to do is I am going to create a class called yellow. So I'm going to call it here, and then I'm going to go define it in the style. So I'm going to just say .yellow, and I'm going to give it a background color. Of yellow. All right, so what I have here now is upon dropping, I'm going to call a function that's going to be an event using the UI library, and I'm going to affect this, which is literally my net, which is literally that box, and I'm going to add a class to it. So right now it has a class of a background color of yellow. So when I drop the soccer ball into that rectangle, it's going to change the background yellow. Oh, and I need to change, oh, no, you don't need any punctuation here because this is literally looking for a class, so it assumes that yellow is a class. So if you're going to use add class, just make sure that whatever is in there in the CSS is, make sure it's a class, right? So if I did add class and then I defined yellow as an ID, that would be bad. It wouldn't work. All right, so let's head over here. Let's see what's wrong. So we can diagnose it with the console. Huh. Net ball. Rabia, this obviously edit this out. Okay, so net is the droppable function. This add class yellow ball draggable. What am I missing? Do we really not have any errors? Why not? Let's see if we can get a console log to work. Okay. So it's getting it. Why isn't it,